Hey everyone, welcome back to Follow Me 11B. Discussions on current events, macroeconomics, and freedom and liberty from a veteran's perspective. Well, today I would like to discuss, you guessed it, Veterans Day. But before we get into all that, I wanted to do a recap of the midterm elections from earlier this week. And to start things off, I wanted to go straight to a Politico news article entitled Hundreds of Thousands of Votes Still Being Counted in Key Senate States. This is last updated November 10th, 2022, and is by Zach Montalero and Madison Fernandez. It goes like this. Control of both chambers of Congress is still up for grabs, with the Senate coming down to a pair of uncalled toss-up races that appear to take several days to resolve, and the possibility that a runoff in Georgia could once again decide the majority. And while Republicans still have the inside track to retake the House, a large number of the most competitive House districts remain uncalled. The Senate comes down to two key swing states and maybe a runoff. Democrat John Fetterman flipped Pennsylvania early Wednesday morning, giving his party 48 seats. It still blows my mind. But back to the article. While Senator Ron Johnson, Republican Wisconsin, secured re-election late Wednesday morning. That gives Democrats 48 seats and Republicans 49, meaning whichever party wins two of the three outstanding contests in Arizona, Georgia, which is headed to another runoff, and Nevada, will control the Senate. Now, this is why this part's really why I wanted to tackle this article, because it really illustrates some of the reasons why there's such a glut of votes that still need to be counted and why it takes so long. Democratic Senator Catherine Cortez Masto was facing off with Republican Adam Laxalt in Nevada. Laxalt leads with more than 80% of the expected vote counted, but there is still a long way to go in the state, and Laxalt's advantage is tenuous because of a glut of potentially Democratic-leaning outstanding ballots. Nevada's two most populous counties, Democratic-leaning Clark County, home of Las Vegas, and battleground Washoe County, home of Reno, have at least tens of thousands of outstanding ballots to be counted, but the exact number is not currently known. In a press conference Thursday afternoon, Clark County Registrar of Voters Joe Gloria, weird name by the way, the chief election official there said the county still had over 50,000 votes that need to be counted. Gloria said he expected the vast majority of those to be tallied by Saturday. The county plans to publish results from a new tranche of counted ballots once a day going forward, which are expected to come in sometime in the evening. New mail ballots are also still arriving. Nevada ballots that have a USPS postmark by Election Day but are delivered to election officials by November 12th will also be counted, but it is hard to project that total. In Clark, for example, an additional 12,700 ballots were received from Postal Service officials on Wednesday, but just over 600 came in on Thursday. Gloria also noted that through the end of Monday, voters can cure defective ballots. That is, if a ballot comes back unsigned or election officials are unable to match the signature on the ballot to the one on the voter rolls, voters have an opportunity to prove their identity and get their ballot counted. There are over 7,000 of those ballots in Clark. Additionally, provisional ballots for voters who registered at the polling place, for example, likely won't be validated till Wednesday of next week. Gloria said there were over 5,500 of those in Clark County, but not every one of them will be ultimately ruled valid. And then it goes on. Similar problems in Washoe County. Arizona has many votes outstanding as well, so on and so forth. But my thoughts on that are, this is way too easy to get a ballot and mail it in. I mean, you could always do this if there was a good reason. If you're in the military, if you're out of the country, if you're laid up in a hospital or you're disabled and you can't physically get to the polling station, you can have an absentee ballot. There's ways to obtain one. I've requested them before, being in the military. But they should not just go out to everybody, in my opinion, because it slows the process down. When it slows the process down, it fosters distrust in the counting system, especially when you've got these weird rules. Like, for example, you can cure your ballot. Oh, whoops, I forgot to sign. I forgot to sign my ballot. We're all adults here, people. Get your stuff in on time. Sign it. Put your address. Make sure everything looks good. Signed, sealed, and delivered. I don't even think you need to stick a stamp on it. If you're going to mail it in, at least mail it in the right way. Come on. It's bad enough that we've got all these votes that are, by mail that are slowing everything down and fostering distrust. At least we can throw the ones that are incorrectly filled out away, in my opinion. Yeah, it's just fostering distrust, and that's just totally silly. I mean, if you're in college and you turn in your term paper 4 days late, because you can turn these in as long as they arrive in the mail 4 days after election day, they're still counted and some of them don't even have to have a signature on them anymore or a date. They can be cured. But if you turn in your term paper 4 days late, guess what? It's not getting counted, and you're getting a failing grade on that. But enough on the midterms. Let's go to the really important stuff. Veterans Day. Veterans Day, originally Armistice Day, marking the end of the Great War. World War I. The war to end all wars, right? Well, we kind of figured out that was not really the case. But point is, it was the 11th month of the 11th, in the 11th day, in the 11th hour. Or maybe it was the other way around. But point is, ever since then, it's been on November 11th every year. And it was originally Armistice Day. It's still Armistice Day to a lot of countries that celebrate this in Europe and in other parts of the world. But in the United States, it's called Veterans Day. It was changed in 1954 by Dwight Eisenhower to Veterans Day to recognize current service members and former service members that are still breathing. Memorial Day is for the ones that are no longer with us. But that's a little bit about the backstory of it. Let's talk about how veterans are treated today. In my opinion, I'm going to go by my anecdotal evidence here. Having been a veteran for a number of years now, and having been a service member for 8, including in a time of war, better. Things are better for sure. I mean, when the Vietnam era veterans came home from Vietnam, they were, called names. They had eggs thrown at them. They were spit on. And when the veterans from the Iraq, Afghanistan era came back, even from the first Gulf War, they were looked at. They were looked at with respect and treated with respect, and looked at with given a place of honor in our society, and I think they still are. The sad thing is, I've noticed that it seems like even though they're still treated with a place of honor, they might have been treated with a place of honor up here. For example, when I was coming home one time from Iraq, I was flying in coach, of course, and or maybe it was I think I was coming home from Mississippi actually during training prior to Iraq. But anyway, point is, a gentleman stopped me because he recognized me as a veteran, and he said, "No, I will take your coach seat. You will take my first class seat." And he wasn't taking no for an answer. So that's respect level up here. I think maybe now that we're not in an active war, it's kind of down here, but it's like Vietnam was down here, or maybe lower. So we've definitely come a long way and in the right direction, in my opinion. Let's talk the VA. The VA had a lot of problems for a long time, too. One of the big problems was speed of service for veterans. And let's take the worst case scenario. I mean, like, they didn't have enough doctors. So even if you got something serious, a diagnosis of cancer, for instance, and you're here and you're going through month after month after month, well, I need an appointment. Oh, we can get you one over here a year from now. And by the time you get to there, it's too late. We lost a lot of good veterans like that. So now, since 2019, they've enacted the Mission Act, which allows you to, if the VA doesn't have a doctor that can accommodate you in a reasonable time frame, or if you live 100 or more miles away from your nearest VA facility, you can use the Mission Act and you can go to your local community hospital and see a specialist or a doctor that can help you faster. So now you go there and you get your VA diagnosis of cancer, and you find out that the VA doctor is down here and you got to wait a year. Or you go to use the Mission Act and, oh, we have an appointment in a month. Okay, great. Problem solved. So that's definitely a lot better. That was a huge problem, and it's been somewhat remedied. There's still some problems with it. I won't get into all the nuts and bolts of that right now, but it's a heck of a lot better than it used to be. And the copays are based on a priority system, and I think they're like 0 to 8. But copays are anywhere from like $0 to $50 for, you know, a broken leg or even the urgent care benefit. So it's pretty nice. A lot better than it used to be. There are still a lot of problems, a lot of suicides still. We're losing way too many veterans to suicide, so we still have a big shortage of mental health professionals, therapists, and the like in the VA. But that also is getting better, but it's going to take a long time. We have a nationwide shortage of that profession. So if you're looking for another career, you might want to look into that. Also, homelessness of veterans is a huge problem. But that's a topic for another video. Let us move on to one of the things that I'd like to talk about in this video is veterans don't get into the service to get rich, and they certainly don't get into a uniform to get stuff. But you know what? One day of the year, Veterans Day, you can get stuff as a veteran. So I'm going to go through a quick list, but if you want the complete list, there's plenty of lists out there. Just go to Freebies Veterans Day 2022 on Google or your favorite search engine, and you can find a complete list. But here's a few of the highlights of where you can get discounts or free stuff on Veterans Day this year. So you can get free stuff or discounts at Olive Garden, IHOP, 7-Eleven, Applebee's, Bed Bath & Beyond, Big B Coffee, Buffalo Wild Wings, Caribou Coffee, Chili's, Chuck E. Cheese, Denny's, Dunkin' Donuts, Fazoli's, Great Clips, get yourself a haircut, Hooters. Complete list online. Thank a veteran today. And in the meantime, don't forget, we are Follow Me 11B on YouTube, on Getter, on Truth Social, on Facebook, on Twitter, and we are The Real Follow Me 11B on Instagram and Rumble. And happy Veterans Day.